Good morning, good afternoon, world history classes. This video is going to cover the monotheistic religions that we did not go over last week. Last week we just covered Buddhism, which is not theistic. They don't believe in God or gods or anything like that. They just believe in Buddha and his teachings. Hindus are polytheistic. They have thousands of different gods, so poly just means many. And then these last three religions, Islam, Judaism, and Christianity, are monotheistic. So let me scroll down to where we're at. Okay, so Islam, it means literally peace and submission to God in Arabic. Okay, the followers are called Muslims, which means submitter in the English language. And its heritage can be traced back to the Old Testament and the Bible. Okay, it was founded by a man named Muhammad. So Muhammad, he's born in 570 CE or AD. He's prosperous, but he starts to become concerned about greed and the worship of idols. So the whole idea of paganism. At the age of 40, he hears a voice telling him that there was only God and that God is Allah. And this is similar to, like I said, some of the other ones, like in the Buddhist story, Siddhartha Gautama, he has a vision. Okay, Muhammad hears a voice. Christianity, okay, also has somewhat of a similar story. Judaism, okay, also very similar, in that they have some kind of a vision or a dream, or they hear a voice, or they're, in the case of Christianity, sent by God, okay, and that's what starts a religion. And Muhammad, like a lot of the other religious founders that we talk about here, he came into contact with a lot of different people. So Siddhartha Gautama, he's a wealthy person that traveled, and during his travels he came into contact with lots of different religions, and then later on formed his own. Okay, Muhammad is also a trader, and due to his trade he comes into contact with lots of different people throughout the Middle East. So he comes into contact with Christians, pagans, Hindus, Jews, potentially Buddhists, and all the different religions that he comes into contact, no doubt help to form what becomes of the Islamic religion, just like all of the other ones. There's two main types of Muslims. You have Sunnis, who are a majority of Muslims, okay, about 80%, and they're down here in this map, they're the green. And then you have Shiites, who are a minority of the Muslims, about 20%, and they're here in the blue. There's other types of Muslims. These are just the two main types. For the purpose of this class, this is really all you need to know about how many types there are. Yeah, there's also Shia Muslims. In all these religions, there's lots of different offshoots, but for the purpose of this class, we don't really need to talk about that. But if you want to get into it and you want to, explore that on your own, you're more than welcome. Some of the basic Islamic beliefs. So Allah sent a series of prophets to the world: Noah, Abraham, Jesus, and then Muhammad, who is considered to be the final prophet. So in Islam, all these people are prophets, okay, leading up to Muhammad. Islam has 5 pillars of faith. Okay, the declaration of faith, okay, you just state that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his prophet and messenger. There's daily prayer, okay, where you pray towards Mecca at least 5 times a day. Okay, and there's prayer bells that tell people when to pray. Charitable giving, okay, 2.5% of your income is given to those in need. There's a period of fasting called Ramadan. Okay, from April 23rd, 2020 to May 23rd, 2020. During the daylight hours, and then after the daylight hours, they feast. And it's about cleansing the body. It's also kind of it's a biological cleanse, and also a spiritual cleanse. Okay, and the Hajj, which is a pilgrimage to Mecca that you're supposed to make once in a lifetime. Okay, and this picture down here is during the pilgrimage, people will go to the Kaaba, which is this black box. Inside of the box are religious relics, and people circle it so many times and touch the box, and that's part of the pilgrimage. Some basic facts: the Quran is the Islamic Bible. Sometimes you'll see it spelled with a Q. When Muslims pray, they're required to face Mecca, and non-Muslims are not allowed in Mecca during the pilgrimage. And this is some Islamic dress. So where is Islam practiced? If you look at this map, okay, it's mostly in sub-Saharan Africa, the Middle East, and the Asia-Pacific region. Okay, there's also many in Europe, some in North America, South America. Okay, but it's mostly in Africa, the Middle East, and Asia. And if you look here, this is just a population by region as of 2010. Okay, so these numbers have probably changed since this map was made. Okay, the next religion that we'll talk about is Judaism, okay, or the Jewish religion. This here's a Star of David. Probably the most that you've talked about Judaism is probably whenever you talk about World War II. It was founded by a man named Abram, who lived around 1800 BCE in the city of Ur in Mesopotamia. He believed in one God, Yahweh, and Abraham's descendants lived in Canaan, the promised land, which is present-day Israel. Yahweh gave Abram the name Abraham. So Abram becomes Abraham, okay, when God blesses him. And this is Abraham's journey. And people usually are like, what the heck, why did this guy take this route instead of just going from here to here? Well, he followed the water. Okay, in the Middle East, water is like the thing. Okay, you can't survive walking through the desert for days and days. Okay, and they didn't really have any way of carrying a lot of water with them. So they traveled along waterways, and most people live along waterways. Okay, either the Tigris and Euphrates, which are right here, or the Nile River. Okay, Abraham has a son named Isaac. All descendants of Isaac are known as Jews, after one of Abraham's great-grandsons, Judah. In 1300 BCE, the Jews were forced to move to Egypt due to a famine, where they became slaves to the Egyptian king. And then a Jewish man named Moses freed them and brought them back to the Promised Land, okay, to Israel. And they built a synagogue to worship Yahweh in Jerusalem. So in 60 CE, the temple was destroyed by the Romans, who are Christians, okay, Catholic. Okay, Judaism teaches there is one God who created the universe. All people are created in the image of God. They do not attempt to convert, and the Torah is their holy book. The other two monotheistic religions, Christianity and Islam, they do attempt to convert. And with the Jewish religion, it's a religion, and it's also kind of an ethnic group. So you're more or less born into the Jewish religion. Okay, and the Torah is their holy book. Some Judaism facts: the Jewish church is called a synagogue. The Torah tells Jews they should pray 3 times a day. and a Jewish priest is called rabbi. And I think I mentioned this, but I can't remember with Islam. An Islamic church is called a mosque. And you have the tops, which are common presents around Hanukkah, called a dreidel. And then you have the hat that a lot of Jewish men wear. It's called a yarmulke. And where is it practiced? If you look, a lot of it's in North America and in the Middle East, some in Europe, some in the Asia Pacific, but most of it's in Israel, where you can see by that dot, and in the northern part of the U.S. Christianity is the last monotheistic religion. Jesus of Nazareth was the Son of God, according to Christians. He was sentenced to death by the Romans because he was a threat to their political power. And following his death, it is believed that he was resurrected and went to heaven. The Roman Emperor Constantine made Christianity the official religion in the 4th century CE. It has origins in Judaism. And the first Christian church is the Roman Catholic Church. And the Protestant Reformation, which we'll talk about later on in this course, Martin Luther was in the 1500s. He splits Christianity into Protestants and Catholics because of what the Catholic Church was doing. Christians often attempt to convert people, just like the people of the Islamic faith. Like I said, that's one difference between these three monotheistic. Christianity and Islam attempt to convert. Judaism does not. Beliefs, despite several different denominations, meaning that denomination meaning there's Catholic, Lutheran, there's Mennonite churches that are Christian, there's Amish churches that are Christian, Baptists, so there's lots of different Christian churches. The Catholic Church, the Roman Catholic Church, the Orthodox Church, those are all Christian churches. The basic idea is that Jesus died and was resurrected, defeating death to save a person from sin and grant them eternal life. And the Bible tells of Jewish people prior to Jesus in Jesus' lifetime and of the early Christian church formed by Jesus' followers. Communion, this is just one way to differentiate between Protestant and Catholic, but it's the practice of celebrating the death of Christ by eating of unleavened bread, meaning bread made without yeast, and drinking juice or wine, which is symbolic of blood. So it's flesh and blood. As far as symbolic goes, depending on if you're Catholic or Protestant, that's kind of the difference. So in the Protestant sect of Christianity, it's symbolic, and they typically use bread and juice. I'm sure some denominations still use wine. In the Catholic religion, they believe in transubstantiation, and that means that the bread and the wine is actually the blood and flesh of Christ. Okay, so they're actually, it becomes one with them when they eat it or drink it. Baptism is another way. So in the Catholic religion, you are baptized as an infant. Okay, and they sprinkle holy water on the baby's head. Protestants, you do it pretty much at any age, and it's in any kind of water. As far as where it's practiced, okay, Christianity is practiced all over the world. Asia, Africa, the Americas, and Europe. Okay, so if you think about all of this, the reason the Middle East often has conflict is because in a lot of the religions that we're talking about, they all occupy the Middle East, Asia, Africa, Europe, and they're heavily populated in this general area here, okay, which is where a lot of conflict comes into play because they all have their own different beliefs and they're all often fighting over the same piece of land. That's the end of the religion notes. Hopefully you learned something about monotheism and Islam, Christianity, and Judaism.